everyone, this is Julie from the Scrap Zone. I just wanted to pop by and show you how I've put together this really neat advent calendar tree. There's a few tips that you're going to need, and the first thing you are going to need is this awesome Cricut cartridge from Close to My Heart, and it's the Season of Joy. The entire project is cut using this particular cartridge. So the next step, I'm going to show you how to organize your project and how to put it all together. This first segment is kind of going through all of the Cricut pieces. So you're going to get two Cricut design space files, and the first one is to cut the actual, I'm calling it the structural part, which is the outer boxes of the tree. So this here is my stack of 25 small boxes. You'll also have in the Cricut design space file these circles, and these circles we're actually using them when we're putting the layers together. It gives stability for the tree. So this is step one into cutting your project. Step two is cutting the decorative boxes, and here I'm showing you the monochromatic. It's going to be charcoal, silver, and pewter on the light side. So here I'm showing you these cut boxes because the other one is already assembled, and I'll show you both of them when they're all completed. So you will have a second Cricut design space file, and it will include all of the inside boxes and all of the, I'm calling them the Cricut design numbers and embellishments. So you'll get this as well. So when you receive this and you start cutting it, and there's quite a bit of cutting, my recommendation is for you to separate your boxes in three. So you've got, in this particular example, you have, hold on here. So in this particular example, you have the charcoal B&T, which is red on the inside, which is going to be cute, I think. And then you've got this pattern paper here, again, red on the inside. And this here is pewter cardstock, and it's on the light side. So I've separated them all, and I've added all of my little pieces on them. As you can see, they're all ready to be assembled. So that would be step one. In your Cricut design space file, when you're cutting them, you actually have 4 boxes per sheet, which allows you to create 2 of these beautiful trees. So then you're going to have to go back and cut the last one, and I've just used the cardstock. You'll also notice in the structural one, or in the white one as I'm calling it, you've got all of your pieces for the poinsettias. And the easiest way I found to stack these together, so you've got 9, 8, and the large ones here, there's 3 of them. So when you take them off your mat, stack them by size, and it's just the easiest way to kind of collect all of your pieces, because there are a lot of pieces and they're all the same, so it becomes a little bit overwhelming. But I found that if you stack them by cardstock, right, and you stack them by sizes, it's going to be a lot easier for you to kind of find your way and get all of your pieces. So that's the first tip on how to sort and organize this project. You'll also notice that you've got these cute little berries or branches, and there's 2 of these per size. So here I'm going to go through the easiest way to assemble the boxes. So these are the outside boxes, and in the Cricut design space file, when you put your scoring tool, very important, you'll see that there's score lines on the boxes. And I found that the easiest way to do this is to fold them, both of them, right? Using your bone folder, just give it a nice crease. Now you can use different glues, but I found that liquid glue works best, so liquid glass, and just put a little bit on the flap, and I actually put a little bit on all of them. It allows the liquid glue to kind of solidify a little bit, and the good thing about liquid glue is that it will never come apart. I also wanted to give you a little tip, because I don't know about you, but I love my liquid glass, but sometimes it gets all clogged up. I've got this little pin here that I usually put inside. Most people know that. But the other tip for you, as you'll be assembling 25 of these, is to keep it laying on its side. That way, because if you put it up, you're always having to kind of get the liquid glue to go down into the tip. And this way, it's just a little bit easier in the process. So we're going to glue these together. So I give them a little fold. And because it's liquid glass, you've got a little time to adjust. It gives you a little kind of assembly time, and I just want to make sure that this is nice and flush. So I'm going to fold this in, and I'm going to do this again, but this time we're going to do it on camera. Okay? So fold. And then the last bit is you can run your bone folder inside on the flap to further secure the little flaps together. So for this segment, I'm going to show you how to put the layers together because it's a tree and it's a circular shape and you've got boxes. I'm going to show you how to assemble all of the layers. So first and foremost, you need to cut yourself 5 1x12 strips of white cardstock, because the strips are what are going to hold the boxes together. And then you're going to use your assemble box, and the opening goes face down, and you're going to start assembling them using this strip. So I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start on this side here, and I'm going to use liquid glass, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glass on the back side of the box. And I'm going to take the strip and I'm going to glue it somewhere in the middle. And kind of went over here a little bit too much because I need to have an overhang when I'm done. So I'm using this grid to line up my boxes and my strip. And if it goes off, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see it at all. Then I go ahead and I use just a ruler and I put it right on the edge of the box and I fold it up to give it a nice crease. And that's going to help when you're forming the circle. So I'm going to take the next box and I'm going to just chuck it in right beside. Add a little bit more liquid glass. Okay, this little strip is getting in the way here. So add a little bit more of liquid glass right in the middle. And again, I'm using this line on my mat to help me line them up. Oops, there we go. The first one's the hardest to do. And then you become a pro. So again, I'm just kind of working slowly. There's no rush in doing this. You're just trying to line up your boxes. Moving on to the next one. Fold it up. And then see, now it's going to stay down and behave. Make sure your hole is facing down. And then I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glass in the middle of the box. And line it up and press down. So let me see, how's my lining up going here? Well, it's pretty good. And what I like about the liquid glass is that it gives me a chance to correct if I'm not snug or lined up. So I'm going to keep on going. Next box, hole facing down, and liquid glass. Nice and tight. And then I just make sure that everything is lined up. And see, I've got time to move a tiny bit. Using my ruler again, and I'm folding up little hole facing down. So it's a little assembly chain, right? And then I'm putting in my last one. So the bottom 2 rows, you have a total of 6 boxes, and that's why I kind of gave myself a little bit of room so that I have an overlap to close it off. So the last box goes in like this, and nice and snug. And then I just make sure that I'm lined up, and I am, and I try and squeeze them together as much as I can. So you've got a tiny little bit of overhang with your strip, and you're going to fold that over. So you can fold them up to crease them even more. And then we're going to wrap these together like so. So this last piece here, I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glass, and I'm going to tuck it and close off my circle, which is a little wonky, and that's why we've got these circle pieces here. So again, I'm using my grid, and I'm going to line up 2 of them, and when you line them up on the grid, you can see that it's taking shape. So I'm going to add liquid glass on the edge, the back edge of my boxes. And just a tiny bit more. I'm going to take my circle, I'm going to place my circle right on this back side, lining it up, pressing it down. This is nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. And you've got your base for your tree. Now this is the second one that I've done, and this is another row of 6. And you would, so this is where this piece comes in handy, because it's creating stability when you're putting your tree together. And then you would just overlap them, and you would glue this piece on top. Now you're going to repeat this step for all of the layers. Just wanted to quickly show you how this is coming together. Now I've glued my first base down, so I've tried to kind of overlap as much as possible, like one in between each other. So I just wanted to show you how I did that. So I'm just going to put glue right along the edges of this circle here. And then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to place it right on top. We're going to go for the next one. And I'm going to add a little bit more liquid glass. And this liquid glass dries nice and firm. So this tree is not going to go anywhere. And I'm just kind of looking at it to make sure that I've kind of have not one on top of each other. You will end up with some of them overlapping a little bit, but that can be the back side, right? And then I'm going to put this right on top. And you just kind of move it around, because again, the glue of choice here is liquid glass. I'm able to move it somewhat. And you'll kind of get an understanding as to why I added those flowers, because there will be some gaps. It's a circle, so that's how those flowers came about. We'll end up with a couple of them overlapping. It's really hard not to. And I'm just going to move that to the back. All right. So I wanted to show you how to put together the inside box, and you'll know that it's an inside box because there's a small little notch at the front. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, before you create your box, is add your Cricut elements at the front. And to do that, I found that it was easiest to pre-fold your box front, because you want to make sure that you're lining up your pieces at the right location. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to kind of determine your little square that you're going to be putting your elements. And for this particular one here, I think I'm going to go with the white tree because it's the 25th. And I'm not going to ink it. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue, which is liquid glass. And I'm going to decorate my front. So I've done this for all of them. You can see that I've got a few here lying around. So I've got this piece, and then I've got my numbers. I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glass, not much, right? And you can either use your fingers, or you can actually go ahead and use tweezers. I found that sometimes tweezers work best for smaller elements. One thing you need to be careful when you use your tweezers, not to squeeze too hard on the foil, because it will leave an indentation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my 25 boxes. I'm so happy I'm at the end. And there you go. So I've placed these down. So the next step, and I've done this for the cardstock one, and I wanted to hide some of the white core, and I'm just going to gently rub and fold. So I'm going to fold them up, or fold them down, I should say, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit of ink. And that's just me, it's a preference. If you don't mind seeing the white core, then you absolutely do not need to do this step. But I actually like to use just a tiny bit, like as you can see, I'm just rubbing. And I've done this before I've folded the box, because when you have your seams, it actually, you can see the white. So I'm just quickly adding a little bit of ink, and I'm using charcoal ink because that was the one that was on my desk, I guess. So there you go. So I've inked all of them, and then I'm going to, very much like the other outer boxes, I just add a little bit of liquid glass on all of the flaps, and I just close it up. And you'll see here, so when I fold this, you'll see here what I was saying. So if this was white, it would have been, you would have seen like a double white seam, as opposed to right now it's been inked. And fold that over again. And the last one, tuck it in before, right? You tuck it right in, and then it closes very easily. And I tell you, after making 25 boxes times 2, you become very, very good at it. The last little bit, I'm going to rub inside with my bone folder. And again, because it's liquid glass, I have a chance to manipulate my seams. So this is how you put together the decorative boxes that go inside the tree. So this is going to be the fun part. I'm going to start loading up my little tree. This one's actually, I like to put it right on top for the last one. And then you just, I'm putting them randomly because I actually want my kids to look for them. These guys here also have been inked because it was a dark charcoal, but you see the nice pop of color inside? I actually thought that was really cute. So I'm just going to go ahead and add all of my little boxes. I just wanted to show you this last step into creating this really pretty advent calendar. This one is turning out to be really elegant. It's all monochromatic, and I really like it. So it's just something a little different. So here I'm taking the pieces, and I've got my little assembly line going here, and I'm literally just running my nail on the cardstock to break it up a tiny little bit and to curl them up. So they've been separated by size and color. So the first base one is represents the leaves, and they are in pewter cardstock. This one's white. This one is linen, and then we finish off with white. So there's no inking involved to make it a little bit easier and faster, because we are making a whole bunch of them, as you can see. I am using liquid glass because I find that with liquid glass you can manipulate your pieces just exactly where you want them. I'm just putting a little bit in the center, like so. And then you can see that the curling actually really gives it a really nice 3D look. And then for the last bit, so for these little guys here, I usually put a little bit of liquid glass on a scratch piece of paper, and then I use my tweezers and I just kind of pick up a little bit of glue, and then I drop that right in the center. Just makes it a lot easier because they are small pieces. And then the last part of this is to put a couple of little branches and just a little bit of liquid glass, and kind of give them one here, right? I'm just going to press down, and the second one, and press down. As you can see, I've got all of my little flowers and they're ready to go, and these go right in between, and the easiest way I found to put those in is kind of like place them, and then I see which petals are touching the back of the boxes, and I add a little bit of liquid glass, and I just really squeeze it into the space. And I hold it for a little bit. Alright, so here we're in the home stretch where I'm going to show you how to create the topper for the tree. So it's a series of stars, and in the Cricut Design Space file you have a little score line right in the middle. So you're just going to go ahead and fold that on the score line, and you give it a nice little crease. So you're going to do that for all 4 of them, including these 4 smaller ones in the foil. So here I have all 4 pieces. They've all been folded and glued together, right? So now we're going to put this 3D star, we're going to glue it all. So basically you're just adding a little bit of liquid glass on the one side, and you're lining up its little companion, like so. I'm just going to squeeze them in and allow it to dry a little bit. We're going to do the 2 ends like this. So you put it right on top and you're lining it up. So you can see now I've got 2 halves of a star, of a 3D star. I thought that was pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add liquid glass all over the one side, and I'm going to sneak in just a regular old toothpick right in the center, and actually here it's up too much. I don't want it to be up too much because, and I don't have enough glue here, because then it creates another layer. But if you just kind of roll into the liquid glass and put it at the bottom, and then put this one on top, And we're going to cut this. You're going to need like really good scissors, but I'm going to cut it down and then I'm going to poke it right on top.